Alrighty, folks, we come here from Kansas Motor Speedway. That is right. Here we go. Race number 1 of the playoffs for the Checkered Flag Auto Supply Scrambler Series. We watched there the 2 of Michael Trevarthen take his qualifying laps. There he was able to put a P number 5 run together. 31.01. Sitting at the top, though, right now is the 6 of Chris Hammett. Also, you can see on the left side of your screen with the playoffs started, we have playoff numbers. Those are going to be the yellow numbers you see to the left of your favorite driver's name. So be sure to keep an eye on that as the rounds continue to file on down drivers. Those yellow numbers will get smaller and smaller till we get to the Final Four at the championship race at the Michigan International Speedway. Of course, each round has 2 races in it, so drivers going to have to make things count. We take a look at some more drivers out on track. Here is Josh Buckley in the 13 machine. Buckley, first lap of 31.48, so this is lap number 2 for James Buckley. As we see Buckley roll to a stop here. Buckley able to do a 31.44. It looks like another car out on track is the 17 of Tim Combs. Combs, the final driver to make it into the playoffs on points. So Combs, a little bit of an underdog story as he qualifies good enough for P number 4 with so a great lap from the 17. Zach Mitchell able to jump up late in qualifying to P number 9 with a 31.11. So it looks like that will do it here for qualifying. Chris Hammett walking away with the first pole of the playoffs here. Max Theriault able to qualify second, third, going to James Skelton. We'll go through the rest of them here in just 1 second as we head down trackside to go through tonight's starting order here for the playoffs. Here we go, folks. The Celeratus Legal starting lineup looks like the following. Chris Hammett and the 6 will be leading the field to the green flag. To his outside will be the guy that won the most in the regular season. It is the black number 42 of Max Theriault. Then row number 2 to the inside will be the 86 of James Skelton. And then Mr. Underdog here, able to qualify inside the top 5. It is Tim Combs in the 17. Rounding out the top 5, we'll go to the Deuce Deuce. It is the 11 of Sean Single. Then to his outside, Mike Trevarthen in the 2. We'll roll off 6th, 7th, going to the 81 of Ken Allen. Rolling off P number 8 will be Dalton Williamson in the 61. And Zach Mitchell in the 8th, rolling off 9th. Rounding out the top 10 will be Richard Murdoch in the 01. And then it is Ethan Troutman in the 62, starting 11th. 12th will go to the 4 of Jeffrey Souza. Then we head further on back. Ryan O'Danny in the 98, rolling off 13th. 14th, and the lowest starter of the playoff drivers will be the 38 of Brandon Feeney, another guy, he calls himself an underdog going into these playoffs. 15th going to the 13 of Josh Buckley. 16th is the 40 of Rob Higgins. Bob Higgins in the 30 will roll off 17th, and 18th on the field here tonight will be the 3 of Tony Strano. So that will do it for our starting lineup. Here we go. Chris Hammett, Max Theriault making up the front row here. Hammett will wait to jump on the lap pedal. There he goes. Foots to the floor, and we are green flag racing here at Kansas for playoffs. Playoffs officially underway here. Chris Hammett trying to wrap that bottom side. Theriault a little bit loose. He will hang on to that car somehow. Wow, what a save as Theriault not losing a spot just yet, but here comes James Skelton to the high side. Skelton started in P number 3, trying to get second from Theriault. And then you see the rest of the field side by side on behind. Ethan Troutman, a man on a mission. Here already lap number 2, up 6 spots from where he started. So the 62 says it's go time. And he is catching up now to that front 2 in this pack. Chris Hammett by himself out in front here tonight. Already worked himself over a half-second advantage. Skelton now clear. Here comes Sean Single on the high side trying to get around the 42. So now is when you want to be up on the top lane. Who can run the fence the longest without getting a piece of the fence? That's who will be out in front here tonight, folks. I mean, look at that. Already here, lap number 4. Sean Single just about getting a piece of the wall there in 1 and 2. As we see Theriault continue to lose spots, now losing to the 17 of Combs. So Combs to the outside, trying to bring the number 2 machine of Mike Trevarthen. So Theriault losing more and more spots down low. And pretty much this high side's formed all the way back to like the 3 of Tony Strano. I mean, if these guys all get situated, these guys could fall quite a few spots back. As it looks like the only car really running the bottom, or at least trying it out, is the 01 machine of Richard Murdoch. Murdoch last time by in 1 and 2 tried the bottom, this time to the top side. Now it looks like Souza down trying to tiptoe. So Souza trying to the short distance here tonight there in 3 and 4 here in 1 and 2. Looks like we'll go back down to the bottom side once again. Murdoch went to the bottom 2. I think took maybe a little bit of air off the nose of the 4 as we see the 61 of Williamson get a piece of the wall. Theriault and Troutman both able to get in a gap behind 5th place Mike Trevarthen. So that's how they'll run for quite a bit, as now it turns into who can run the top side the best without getting a piece of the wall. As you can just lean on it just a little bit here tonight, folks, but once you do that a couple times, you start getting damage, and then if you clobber the wall, get it really good either off of turn number 2 or turn number 4, you know, you will be off the pace, and a great finish pretty much goes out the window. So Hammett now almost to a second advantage over who we're looking at right here, James Skelton. Ethan Troutman still says, I'm going to try the bottom here. So Troutman looking to the inside of Theriault. Then leading up the second pack now for bound up. Ken Allen leading the way here in the 81. Over 10 laps already complete here tonight. A tenth of the way done, but a lot of racing still to happen here. As you see everyone up on the top side except for this 3 of Strano. Kind of furthest running back cars in the playoffs. That'd be in the 38 of Brandon Feeney and the 61 of Dalton Williamson. We saw Williamson get a piece of the wall, and then Feeney back here, I think, trying to save some fuel and tires. So we'll see if we get some other strategy here tonight. As Max Terriel trying to get to the high side of Trevarthen. Trevarthen will slam the door shut on the nose of the 42 machine. Wow, that was definitely pretty close there. As luckily it's this early in the race, or else if we see that a little bit later, we may not see some brakes being cut there. That time off turn number 4, the 42 will get to the high side and get clear. Trevarthen will slot on into the back bumper of the 42 now. You hear these guys really working on this throttle up on the top side, really trying to be precise on where they put that car to kind of get it against the wall a little bit, get a little bit of side force, but you definitely don't want to push the envelope and then get it into the wall. And you see now the 62 of Troutman to the inside of the 2 of Trevarthen. And these guys don't want to be side by side for too long, as here comes the 81 and the 8 right behind, as Troutman would get clear of the 2. You can hear there Trevarthen really stabbing the throttle all the way till about corner exit almost when you start unwinding the wheel. That's a sign of a very tight race car, so maybe the right front on the 2 heating up more than the cars around us. Oh, there's Ken Allen in the wall right behind. Allen getting a piece of it, now losing 3 spots here as the 4 Souza will try and get around. So that was only a brush of a wall, folks. Definitely didn't get a big piece of it, but even with that, losing some spots, you got to look close at those fenders. I don't see any damage. So like I said, just a brush for the 81, but even with that, losing 2 spots there, a good amount of track position. Here we now see the 42 going around the 17 here. This is now for P number 4 here tonight. Some big movers here tonight, one being the 62 of Ethan Troutman, the other so far being the 13 of Josh Buckley here. Buckley up 4 spots from where he started, trying to get his way up into the top 10, but kind of leading this 3rd pack here tonight. And now everyone really running their own pace, just trying to find the rhythm out on the speedway to keep these cars underneath them. As we see the 61 of Williamson fairly decently into the wall there, into turn number 3. Now that was the 01 of Murdoch to get on by, and here comes the 38 of Brandon Feeney. I was going to say the biggest person struggling is this 61 of Williamson, down 7 spots from where he qualified. As Williamson once again in the wall here. His night's going from bad to worse for the 16. You hate to see it, as Williamson, one of those playoff drivers, once again in that wall. And as we now see Max Theriault around James Skelton and power move Tim Combs. Combs will get in front of the 11 of single. Wow. Just catching a glimpse of that, but man, that was a move by Combs to get by single with that, as you see in front of them side by side, and by the time they get to turn number 1, Combs just able to slide across the nose of the 11. As wow, what a move there. He slides right there in front of that car by the time they get to turn number 1 here. And Ethan Troutman also keeping pace with these guys as he now tries to get around the 11 of single. Chris Hammett still our leader in this number 6 machine. James Skelton starting to close the gap just a little bit to our race leader. Now Max Theriault for the first time here tonight out in clean air. Here for P number 5, we have Single and Troutman side by side here. Troutman has been faster the last couple laps here, but Single in the preferred lane, going to make it easy to defend. Further on back, Zach Mitchell getting a piece of the wall there off of turn number 2. I know Danny trying to put some pressure on the 13 of Buckley. This has been shaping up for a couple of laps as Danny within a car length there. It looks like he'll get a little bit tight there off of turn number 2. As further up now, Michael Trevarthen in the wall there, pretty good in 3 and 4. So Trevarthen will lose the spot to Mitchell, and maybe worse, pick up some damage on the right front. So Trevarthen may be struggling with those tires. I think I might have heard a pit call here from our leader here. I think the 6 machine down on pit road this time by. Yes, he is. So that's going to hand over the lead to James Skelton. It looks like Tim Combs, Souza, and Ken Allen. Looks like all those drivers down pit road safely. So Skelton going to pick up his first lap lead here tonight. How much more can the likes of, Max Theriault go? Max was able to probably save a little bit of fuel there on the opening laps running that bottom side. As this time by, we see the 86 of Skelton. He will get down safely. Here comes Single and Troutman. They almost make contact there. Trevarthen, Buckley, and Williamson hanging on to it. He will dance it on down. Higgins looks like the final car of this group. So now Max Theriault picking up his first lap lead here tonight. Looks like about 6 cars left that have not pitted here tonight. As this time by, we see the 42 of Max Theriault down on pit road. And the 8 of Zach Mitchell. Richard Murdoch able to get it on down. Tony Strano, Brandon Feeney, both entering pretty hot, but get it woed on up. And then Rob Higgins rounding out the pit cycle. Chris Hammett able to get out in front of James Skelton. Skelton still on the apron. So the undercut working well for Hammett as he is out way in front here. With a lap undercut by the 6, you know, he has made up now about a 3-second gap over James Skelton. So we'll have to see if the long run is where it's at, as these drivers at least down 2 more times here tonight. Next Ariel rolling off of pit road. It looks like Sean Single will get on by here on the top side. So first round of pit stops have cycled on out. Chris Hammett out in front once again. James Skelton currently running in the 2nd position. Tim Combs rounding out the top 3. Sean Single hanging on to P number 4. And Max Theriault trying to give some chase here within 3 car lengths of that 4 spot. But Theriault currently sitting P number 5. Best car of the non-playoff drivers is the 98 of Ryan O'Danny, currently running in the P number 10 spot here, as we are a third of the way done with racing here tonight, or you know, just under that mark. As it should be interesting to see if drivers kind of split this race into quarters, pitting every 25 or so, or if we see anyone try and stretch it out to that, you know, magic 30-ish mark. But even if they do that, they got to come down another time. So yeah, you might as well split it right into quarters, unless we see a big time tire fall off as this track continues to get hotter, as everyone pretty much running the top side here, even by themselves. You see Max Theriault right on the back bumper of that number 11 Ford Mustang of Sean Single. Theriault was able to get around both Combs and Single, but both Combs and Single down a little bit sooner on pit road. Like I said, the question is, will staying out long here help a lot with pace? I have to wait and see, as Theriault able to make the pass pretty easy there. Last time by, I believe Max Theriault's 2nd quickest of the drivers out on track. No one with any pit road penalties or anything like that, so if a driver moved in the standings, it's just because of when they came on down pit road. We watch Zach Mitchell trying to get around the 81 of Ken Allen. This would be for a P number 10 spot here. As though right in front of them, O'Danny gets a piece of the wall. Both of them will yank the cars down to the left and able to cut the apron here, but Mitchell doesn't quite get the run on Allen, as Mitchell almost gets a piece of the wall, as he just saw it at the very last second there. Mike Trevarthen now reeling in the number 4 machine of Jeffrey Souza, as Trevarthen has been a little bit faster than the car in front of him. It looks like the 61 of Dalton Williamson, big time damage to that car. It looks like his night will come to an early end, so Williamson might be in a must-win spot next week. As 2 races ago, we kind of had a similar car track combo. I mean, of course, different styles of driving, let's say, with tonight being topside and really being able to dance a car along the wall. But last time we were in these Xfinity cars, we went to Kentucky. Over there, this guy pulled off the win with the fuel strategy. It was the 4 of Jeffrey Souza picking up the win over Ethan Troutman. And these guys running 6th and 7th here at the moment. Our race leader, Chris Hammett, was in that 7th position by the time the checkered flag fell of Kentucky. So a little bit of kind of reverse order from 1st through 7th in the finishing order, as Chris Hammett, man, putting on a show out here in front. His gap with the race lead, though, has been slowly shrinking, but let's ride on board with our race leader and go for a lap around the Kansas Speedway. You can see, though, in lap times, Chris Hammett already over 2nd off from what he was running before, and it's only been 15 laps since they pitted. You know, they want to go at least another 10 more, so that just shows you the tire fall off here tonight. But man, Hammett's on, I should say, on a roll here tonight, as he is out in front. As we now click on over to 42, James Skelton, though, hoping the undercut doesn't work out for our race leader. Hoping he can try and eat away at the gap. So far, has not gotten in. He still needs to cut this gap in half to be kind of about where he was before pits cycled on through. So it looks like Mike Trevarthen was only able to catch Jeff Souza, and now is under fire from the aid of Zach Mitchell. Mitchell, the best running driver that pit on 27, besides our 3rd place driver, Max Dariel, who got around both Combs and Single already. Man, what a move by Mitchell there. We'll slide on up to get a piece of the wall off of turn number 2. That is bad news for the 8 there, as Trevarthen will go to the inside to try and avoid, but we got to look here closely at as I believe we had contact there off of turn number 2, as I think Mitchell and Trevarthen may have got together just slightly, and I think Mitchell definitely got the wall there off of turn number 4. So we'll look on the right side here for any damage. It looked pretty clean for that split second I saw there. As of course with iRacing, we get to see most of the time the damage is correct, but every now and then it's a little off, so especially the slight little damage. That does sadly make a difference here on iRacing. So while this goes on, Josh Buckley has ran down the 81 of Allen. Buckley here looking to the inside doesn't quite have the run by the time they get to turn number 3. Man, and then another battle for now 5th as Troutman finally gets clear of the 11 a single. That battle's been working on for about the last 10 laps or so as Buckley does get clear. I believe Allen maybe not as they go side by side down the backstretch. And wow, look at the run by Allen. So that just shows you how well this top side can defend. As Allen now into the wall, he has to yank that car off of it. Buckley this time on the front stretch should be able to get clear. Further up, Mitchell to the inside of Souza. This is the battle for 7th as man Mitchell with a power move able to make it stick. And he will go up to P number 7. Souza almost peeking to the inside of the number 8, so maybe Mitchell without a car in front of him having to learn the rhythm, or maybe Souza says, I figured out something down here. I'm going to try and run it as it's a cooler track down here. That time definitely not as good here, losing a little bit of time to the 8. But here in 3 and 4, maybe Souza has found something as he goes to the high side of Mitchell. Interesting, the 8 will leave the door open, but able to just shut it. Ryan O'Danny, Tony Strano side by side here. Now as this run has continued to go on here close to halfway point, Josh Buckley's in the best of the non-playoff drivers. As you can see, James Skelton closing the gap here on our race leader. It is about pit time here for Chris Hammett. Last time down on 25 will mean this time by he's coming on down. As that we see Hammett down, Skelton will try and make up some time. If he got woed up there, he made up a ton of time to our race leader. Tim Combs, Sean Single also down. Richard Murdoch looks like he will get safely on down. Looks like the final of the takers this time by will be the 98 of O'Danny. Here we go. Then we pick up the 42 of Max Terriel. We'll see how long Terriel will try and run. Last time down on 27. Looks like this time down here on 28. 42's down to pit road. So Troutman will go down, same with Trevarthen and Buckley. That only leaves out Jeffrey Souza, Ken Allen, Tony Strano, Brandon Feeney, and then Bob and Rob Higgins. So this time by, we see the 4 of Souza. He will make it down. Looks like nice and safely. Here comes the Oscar Mayer 81 machine of Ken Allen. Tony Strano also ducking on down. And now it looks like Brandon Feeney going to stay on out. Feeney going to pick up his first lap lead here tonight. And of course, in the middle of the pit stops, we have already passed the halfway point. That is right, folks. We are already halfway down. Less than half to go now. As man, Feeney gonna go another lap here. So Feeney gonna really stretch it on out. You won't want to miss these races, folks. Round 12, I should say the round of 12. 12 drivers here tonight at Kansas. Then the end of round 1 next week at the Worldwide Technology or Gateway Raceway with the trucks. Then we go to the round of 8 the week after round number 2. They head to Richmond, then to Vegas, then the championship 4 will be Michigan, June 17th. Now we see the 38 of Feeney down on pit road. So this will hand on over once again the race lead here to the 6 of Chris Hammett. Hammett actually a little bit faster in the box there than James Skelton. Was able to stretch out the gap just a little bit here. Once again, back over a second advantage for the 6. Looks like no real big shakeups on pit road. So everyone just about staying right where they came on off of pit road. Further on back here, we saw Mike Trevarthen have a great kind of initial start last time, able to make up some ground, but and kind of falling off. Looks like once again has some great short run pace, trying to track down now the 01 of Richard Murdoch. This will be a battle for the P number 8 spot. As Murdoch's in here with the oldest tires, then Trevarthen slightly newer. Best track, let's say best tires furthest up the standings is the number 4 machine of Jeffrey Souza. He last pitted 5 laps ago. Furthest guys from pit road are our leaders here. Pitted last on lap 50, so now 8 laps ago. As you can see here, top 10 all playoff drivers. And you know, you got to be kind of in the top 8 here. Do not really be super sweating by the time they head to next week, as we are only taking 8 drivers at the conclusion of next week's race. So you want to be setting yourself like a Sean Single, Ethan Troutman, a little bit of gap to that cutoff line. The guys like Dalton Williamson out of this race. Brandon Feeney still hanging on to an alright finish. If we do get, you know, some sort of shakeup, maybe a yellow flag here before he goes 1 lap down, that would definitely flip this race on its lid. As we have 60 and 40 to go here tonight at Kansas. Chris Hammett out in front so far. Hammett did not pick up any wins in the regular season. So not only would it be to lock himself into the next round, but on top of that, first win of the season coming in the playoffs. You can't ask for more momentum than that. As here we go, that battle finally shaping on up. Michael Trevarthen to the inside of Richard Murdoch. And here comes Jeffrey Souza with those freshest tires on the speedway. Souza now to the inside of the 01. This will slide Murdoch to the last car in the top 10, P number 10. And Souza should be able to maybe get around the 2, as maybe not, as here we go, Murdoch looking to the top side of Souza, able to get a nose to the outside. Wow. Interesting here. We'll see Souza slide up to the wall, but I'm surprised he can run that. As wow, he got a great run from the bottom there as Souza figured out something down low. We kind of saw him running a certain line last time, or I should say at the end of last run, kind of running it again. and making up some time. As wow, Souza able to get the pass done on the inside lane, so that moves the number 4 up into P number 8. As Zach Mitchell, Sean Single kind of close in on each other. These guys both pitted at the same lap. Then further on back, Josh Buckley getting reeled in by the 81 of Ken Allen and maybe even Tony Strano. Strano kind of having him a solid, but solid and peaceful night for the number 3. I mean, has been running his pace, kept that car clean, and is actually up 4 spots from where he started. Strano started dead last here tonight. Has been heading in the right direction, which is always a good thing, especially at a tough track like Kansas. These guys starting to close up on one another. Going to have a 3-car battle before we know it. Here comes Souza to the inside of Single. And wow, Souza there. You can see him jump on it right in the apex. And you see that car kind of jolt almost a car length ahead. As that is very impressive that he can drive like that with these tires. So it may be the right call. And Souza now trying to catch the 8 of Mitchell, but these guys sitting very, very far back from our race leader. I mean, 13 seconds on back, these guys find themselves. As okay, I like the call there, Jason. Thinking that the 01 of Murdoch here saving his stuff into this stint and then gonna push. We'll see how it works on out for the 01. As these drivers, you know, probably staring at those lap times, making sure they are running their best pace that they can without burning off that right front or just absolutely clobbering down this wall here tonight. We haven't seen anyone get into it, but now's about the time. About 15 laps into a run, and right on cue there, Zach Mitchell just brushing the wall there off of turn number 2 with the right rear. So here comes a time where drivers now kind of be looking way past their hood pins depending on if a car is in the wall in front of you. As I do like that call, Jason. We'll see how it works out for Murdoch, as now the time for him to make up a little bit would be now if I was in the seat of the 01. Those cars kind of battling up in front of you. Time to start closing up the gap. So Mitchell able to hang on to the spot. Here comes Souza once again to the back bumper here. Look on board with Zach Mitchell, looking back at the number 4 of Souza here. As you see how close Souza gets there, trying to maybe move a little bit air. You hear Mitchell really playing with that throttle. And there we go, side by side here. Souza will drive it in there deep, let that 4 machine wash up top. And there goes Jeffrey Souza out in front. Looks like Souza wants the bottom set. Not going to take the air off the nose of the 8. Looks like by the time the corner he will though. So Mitchell's now got to be really careful with all that dirty air on the nose. Able to put that car where he wants, but you see it get tight there at the last second. That makes Mitchell have to back on out of it. And this is what these drivers are dealing with all race long. It's there. Souza, with no car reference in front of him, drives it in there deep, almost gets a piece of the wall. Man, oh man, people either love or hate this place because It is such a driver's track as we ride on board. You know, just here's what these drivers are dealing with working this wheel and this throttle. And some, like I was saying, some people love or hate this place. I tend to really enjoy it as it really teaches a driver patience, especially here on iRacing. Further on back, we see kind of a 4-car battle here as Josh Buckley gets around, I believe, the 3 of Tony Strano. So Buckley will go on by Ken Allen trying to work over the 98 of O'Danny here. This is a battle for P number 12 as O'Danny down low, Ken Allen up top. Out in front though, Chris Hammett here leading the way, James Skelton in second, Max Theriault rounding out the top 3 as Chris Hammett here off of turn number 4. Gonna see next time by, gonna see the countdown clock, and look at this, James Skelton gonna try and make up some time. He is short pitting here tonight. So Skelton down for the final time here. We'll be able to just make it on fuel. This time by, we should see the 6 of Hammett down on pit road. So here comes the 6 of Hammett. That will hand over the race lead to the 42 of Max Theriault. As Hammett safely on down, Troutman, Combs down. It looks like Mitchell, Single, Murdoch also down on pit road here. Looks like everyone's safely on down. Now it leaves Theriault, Souza. Souza, of course, pitted 1 lap after the 42. Probably going to do the same as we see the 42 of Max Theriault. Going to be a pretty empty pit road, at least for the 42. Here through 3 and 4. No, Souza going to pit this time by with Theriault. So interesting call. We'll see the likes if the 81 of Ken Allen down on pit road. It looks like no, he won't. So Allen going to take over the point here. Drivers like Allen, Brandon Feeney would love to see someone get loose either entering or exiting pit road. Bring out that yellow flag and really flip this race on its lid. As we see the 01 of Richard Murdoch coming off of pit road, get that thing up to speed and say bye-bye, see you later. I mean, we'll watch the difference to the 2 of Trevarthen in this corner, and it is quite a difference of these old versus new tires. As, oh man, big time Ken Allen into the wall there. That is not what you want to see, especially after pushing long into a stint. You're just losing more and more time. As this time by, we see the 81 of Allen. That hands over the race lead to Brandon Feeney. Feeney and then Rob and Bob Higgins. Only cars not down on pit road. James Skelton with the undercut, able to make up a lot of time and get right to the back bumper of Chris Hammett almost. As this time by, we should see the 38. No, he will stay out yet another time as we see the battle of what will be for the race lead, as Skelton, pitting a lap sooner, has gotten to the back bumper of the 6. So the question is, can James Skelton keep the pace with slightly older tires. We will have to wait and see. He's got to hope Chris Hammett really burns up those tires in front of him. As Brandon Feeney still out in front. This Liquid Moly 38 machine, I believe, coming in this time by. As we'll see the 13 and the 3 shoot on by on the top side. Get themselves back on the lead lap here. So with 20 to go, Brandon Feeney heads down on pit road for the final time. This will hand over the race lead to Chris Hammett. Hammett now stretching that gap over half a second over James Skelton. Max Darrell now sits about 2.5 seconds back. So Darrell able to knock off about half a second, but he is going to need to really push or else he is running out of time in a hurry. Tim Combs, man, a quiet but solid night for the 17. Qualified with a blistering lap to put him P number 4 and has held on to that spot. Then we head to some big movers here, that being 5th Ethan Troutman in the 62, and then 6th place Jeffrey Souza, also up 6 spots as well. But the biggest mover here so far, trying to make it 7 spots up if he can complete the pass on Josh Buckley, will be the 3 machine of Tony Strano. Strano, if he completes the pass, is up a whopping 7 spots here tonight. Battles on the speedway, of course, we saw the Josh Buckley, Tony Strano, then Sean Single was catching Zach Mitchell. Looks like not the case anymore, so we will go back to this battle right outside of the top 10 as Strano trying to put the moves on Josh Buckley. Buckley in the wall there, 1 and 2. This could now really open up the door for Tony Strano. Looks like yes, he will. He will get clear by the time they get into turn number 3. So now we can officially, let's say, pencil in, at least at the moment, the 3 of Tony Strano up 7 spots. As Buckley looks like not going to make it easy. We'll try the crossover here, get up to that quarter panel. Buckley will try the bottom side here. Tony Strano up top. Of course, like it's been all night long, top side where it is at. As that is where you want to run here tonight. You can kind of get the bottom side to maybe work for a corner, but that's about it. No way are you trying to put both ends of the speedway down on that inside lane. Here with now 14 to go, Chris Hammett out in front. Like I said, folks, what a story it would be for the number 6. Has not won any races yet this season. Here in the first playoff race, Chris Hammett leading the way, looking for that first checkered flag this season. Skelton picking up a win early, race number 1 of this season, picking up the win. Would love to start the playoffs in similar fashion, picking up the first playoff win of the season, but has to reel in Chris Hammett, who has been just faster than James Skelton here in second. Max Darrell continues to click down this gap here tonight, but it is running out of time for the 42. He, I believe, definitely doesn't have the pace of the leaders, but everyone else around, I believe he has some pace here. As we look a little bit further back, Sean Single and Richard Murdoch here side by side for 2nd and 3 and 4. Single will slide on up. Here comes Murdoch with the crossover. They're going to be door to door by the time they get to turn number 1. No advantage, Murdoch. How deep can the 0-1 drive it in and slide on up? Looks like not deep enough, not able to clear, so Single will try the run. Single will get out of sorts. Single somehow saves that race car. Murdoch somehow doesn't get in that corner panel, and holy smokes, that could have been very bad for both those guys, but somehow we stay green flag race and have not had any yellow flags here tonight. And then a little bit of a battle between the Higgins here right behind that. Bob and Rob both duking it out here. Yes, yeah, I believe that had all those Murdoch fans on the edge of their seat there. That was very close to being something bad as we continue to stay green, though. Have not had a yellow yet, so if we continue this way, we can say we haven't had a yellow flag for the whole playoff so far. But here now we get single digits to go for Chris Hammett. We have 9 at the stripe. With Strano getting around Josh Buckley, a little bit of bragging rights as well as Strano best car not in the playoffs. And like I said, drivers that can sigh a little bit relief after tonight will be, of course, anyone in the top 4, and then Ethan Troutman, Jeffrey Souza just on the edge there. As, of course, at the conclusion of next week's race, we will be taking the top 8 of those yellow number drivers here. Here with 8 to go, we continue to see Sean Single, Richard Murdoch battle it on out between them. All of these guys down on pit road at the same time, so it all comes down to who was saving their tires the best, who has been putting this race together. As don't look too far back, Mike Trevarthen has figured out a rhythm. As just as I say that, Trevarthen big time in the wall glue. He will lose all that gap, and I'm sorry, Mike, I think that may have been a little bit of an announcer's curse there. We head back up to that battle for Pete number 8. Both these guys in the playoffs, every spot counts, especially only 2 races in a round. It is going to be wild, and you got to get everything you can. That's why we see Murdoch trying everything in this 01 machine. Only real battle going on besides maybe Max Stereo catching the back bumper of James Skelton, but it's going to be close here with only now 6 laps to go. Yes, Richard Murdoch did start in the P number 10 spot, is up 1 spot from where he started. Currently running P number 9, trying to catch P number 8, but looks like last time by Single better on through. That time by, though, for our race leader, Chris Hammett, seeing 1 open palm from the flagman. That is right. It is 5 laps to go here for race number 1 of round number 1 of the playoffs. This time at the stripe, 4 to go. Currently trying to reel in Josh Buckley to put the 13-1 last down. Have not seen any yellow flags yet this race, and at the moment, no one's really close to a full-on side-by-side battle yet, but all it takes is, like we see many times before, just overstepping that edge, getting that car in the wall, or maybe even worse, you know, really pounding the wall with the right side, and then you're way off the pace. As though this guy has been on it, though. Chris Hammett qualifies on the pole here coming into tonight. Hammett had 4 top 5s in the regular season, 9 top 10s, but no wins coming up to now. Trying to change it here tonight in race number 1 of the playoffs. This time by for Chris Hammett. He will see popsicle sticks up in the air. That's right, folks. 2 laps to go. And Hammett is hoping and praying he gets to the white flag, because here on iRacing, if you get to the white flag, they will race to the checkered. It doesn't matter what's going out on track. So Hammett just trying to get to half a track to go. Through 3 and 4, Chris Hammett will come. Max Stereo in closing up to half a second back, but gonna run out of time. But here we go with the Feeney Call. 1 lap to go. Chris Hammett will see the white felt first. Hammett through 1 and 2, a little bit of lap traffic out in front, but doesn't have to get around and push the envelope. Hammett down the backstretch for the final time at Kansas. And for the playoffs, race number 1 of round number 1 goes to the 6. Chris Hammett picks up the win here tonight at Kansas. James Skelton will finish second. Max Theriot rounding out the top 3, who we will be talking with. Tim Combs, man, what a race he put together there for the 17. And then Ethan Troutman rounding out the top 5 here tonight. But man, oh man, what a run by this driver. What a night. Chris Hammett here when it counts, able to put it all together as he will bring it to the front stretch here at Kansas and burn it on down. Chris Hammett picking up the first win of the playoffs here and celebrating it in style. Don't go anywhere, folks, because we have the Claws Up Charters post-race show here in just one moment to be talking with this guy here. Man, oh man, I gotta give a shout out you guys in the YouTube chat lands. You guys were awesome here tonight, as we will be right back here after commercial break for our post-race show.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams, race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we come back to you at the Kansas Speedway for our Claws Up Charters post-race show. And I tell you what, if you have stuck it out in this race to this point, you are awesome. But here we go, talking with our P number 3 finisher, that being the 42 of Max Stereo. Max, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, Brett.
Alrighty, man. So, tonight you walk away with a P number 3 spot. Tell us how you feeling after the first race of round number 1.
Points-wise, it's a good start, of course, and leading some laps over other guys that haven't. I'll take this gap as much as I can have, because who knows what happens next week. Yeah, overall, if it's not a win, then it's almost as close to a win that I can points-wise, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I believe coming into tonight, you having a little bit of cushion with all those wins you racked up in the regular season. And then, of course, with a good finish here tonight, sitting pretty comfortably in the points for at least the round of 12.
Yeah, still next week, I just to keep some momentum, I still want to perform good. I don't even know where we're going or what car we're in, but definitely some practice. I'll have to practice this weekend or this Sunday coming in for the next race, and it benefited last night because I learned a lot of not what to do, and I was a bit more conservative tonight, and on the long run, it paid off.
Yeah, that it did. And next week, Max, it is Gateway in the truck. So,
Yeah, I don't remember the last time we went there. I remember a long time ago with the trucks how it felt. So if it's kind of similar, I have an idea of having a baseline to begin with it in the practice. Of course, the trucks, just like the Xfinity cars, we can get some very tight right front burning setups that don't make for that much good side-by-side racing, but who knows, maybe it'll be loose enough that we can manipulate the truck a bit to save some tires.
yeah, I just say we make that race at 2 in the morning and turn you guys loose.
Yeah, that's pretty much the best conditions we could we can have for something different.
Yeah, that would definitely, I think, be a pretty fun race. But here tonight, Max kind of got stuck on that inside lane. And besides kind of the first 3 laps, it seemed like you're just riding the high side train and just keeping that car off the wall. And you got stuck, I want to say, almost the first, 8 or so laps on that inside lane and losing spots at that, too, just to add insult to injury.
Yeah, I lost a lot of track position. But guys like Sean and Tim Combs, they were in Mike Travart, and they were really courteous when I came back with a bit better tires than theirs. They just let me by on the outside, not to waste too much time. But I was already far behind. That without a caution, Chris was flawless tonight, so he pretty much controlled the race from his point. And yeah, halfway moving forward, I ran the bottom line once the tires wore in, and long run it kind of helped, but we don't have enough of a long run, I believe, to have made that much of a difference, unfortunately.
Yeah, that it just seemed like, yeah, with the pit stops and how people were just able to break this race into quarters and just pretty much push as hard as they need. Seemed like that was the case. Well, Max, we talked about next week. Well, I'm sure another good race heading for you as long as nothing crazy happens. But here tonight, I figure we'll get you wrapped on up, get you out of here at a good time. But before that, we got to thank who you got to thank here on the 42 car now in the playoffs.
Well, just like the regular season, as always, my fiance, my friend Max, and my dad. The Turn 3 broadcasts that you put up every week. Thanks to you, Brett, Josh, James, and Richard for the Monday Night Scrambler series, Checkered Flag Auto Supply. And yeah, congrats to Chris on the big win. Strong race also for Skelton in the second place. So yeah, next week is a cutoff, so important race. We'll see you guys then.
Alrighty, Max. Well, you have yourself a great rest of the night, and we'll see you next week at Gateway.
Thank you, Brett.
Alrighty, folks, that was our P number 3 finisher, Max Theriault. Now we'll head up to our runner-up finisher, that being the 86 of James Skelton. James, you got a copy? It's Brett Jet in the booth here.
Copy.
Alrighty, man. Well, you tried some alternate strategy there at the end, was able to get to the back bumper, but sadly not in front, and it seemed like those tires went away at that point.
Yeah, Brett, there was I'll take a P2. I didn't get any practice in. I went to Darlington this weekend, and I had a real busy week. So, when I jumped on around, I did jump on about 20 minutes early. So I got about an hour, 20 minutes of practice. But I was awful in practice. Like, I was like 10th on the board, then 8th on the board. And then I finally kind of figured, kind of how to qualify right at the end. I didn't really know how the long run was going to run, with tire wear. I didn't really know the line exactly. Chris just had it down. He was just so smooth. And I think Max was really good too. He just got kind of mired back some traffic, and it's just really hard to make up room. So overall, good race, and congrats to the 6.
Yeah, great race by all of you guys. And James, there, it seemed like a pretty tough race with just kind of jumping to that top side, staying there, and just trying to hit your marks without, getting too aero tight or, jumping that, let's say, air cushion and get a piece of that wall.
Oh yeah, I mean it was just so tough to because you got to protect the right front on the whole run. So I'm trying to watch the 6. I literally stared at the 6's bumper the entire time, trying to figure out all right, let me back it off a little bit, through the midpoint of 1 and 2 to try to get a different angle to see if it worked. To try that for a few laps, and it wouldn't work. And I don't know, it was tough, man. Just to have speed, and then I didn't even really get to pass a lot of guys. So I know passing guys, you were definitely cooking your tires. So I was just glad to get a good qualifying position and get out front and just work on my line, really.
Yeah, luckily you were able to do that there, kind of set your own pace and not get too much pressure, if any, from the back bumper. But coming into these playoffs, James actually finished second in the regular season. Then here tonight with a second place finish, always a good points finish, and can almost, as long as you get a decent finish next week, you can start thinking about the round of 8, let's say.
Oh, for sure. Because once I short pitted on the 6, and then I did the little slide job. As I stuffed it in there, I didn't really know how far the car would go and how far to go up. And then I'm thinking man, do I really go to the wall and put him in a predicament of what he wants to do? I didn't want to do what the 45 did to the 17 yesterday in the Cup Series. So I thought better of it. And then also, if it was the regular season, I was going to run long and take 2 tires at the end, because I think we can go 27 laps. So I'm if I go 27, 28 laps, and on that last stop, I can really cut it down and maybe take 2 and gain 4 seconds on a pit stop. But I didn't have the guts to do it tonight.
Yeah, of course. Got to be thinking about the big picture here with these playoffs. And James, walking away with a P number 2, that's, of course, got to feel great. But next week, heading to Gateway in the trucks. How you feel about that kind of wacky combination?
I really like Gateway. Kansas is probably one of my least favorite, tracks. Definitely mile and a half. So I don't really like running the top. I like, running the bottom. And even though Gateway, we're going to run kind of that middle line, 3/4 lines through 1 and 2, that track's usually pretty good to me. So I'm excited. I just can't, do something really silly, and have a last place finish. If I can just have a top 3, top 5 finish, next week, that'll get me to the next round.
Yeah, that it will, James, and awesome stuff with you. Well, for second place here tonight, first race of the playoffs, rolling with some momentum. James, I'm going to go let you thank who you got to thank here in the playoffs now, either on the car, maybe tuning in at home.
Yeah, first off, Jed, I got to thank you for, the broadcast and turn 3 and everything you guys do. We definitely appreciate our relationship that we've had over the years. I want to thank all the drivers. Super clean race as always. Checkered Flag Auto Supply for our title sponsor. The Feeney Call, everybody else who helps us out. All the fans that are watching. Hopefully, it's a pretty good race for them. And I had Flowertown Animal Hospital on the Super tonight. I love supporting my wife's animal hospital that she runs, and I'll see everybody next week.
Alrighty, James, awesome stuff, and you have yourself a great rest of tonight, and then we will see you next week at Gateway. Have a good one.
Oh, one last thing. I forgot to thank my teammate. He had a ninth place finish. He's an awesome teammate. I really enjoy running with LCM Low Country Motorsports, and I want to give a shout out to Max for a good finish. So sorry about that, Brett, and I'll see you next week, man.
Yep, no problem. Got to shout out those teammates. So, James, we'll catch you next week. Have a good one.
And fourth, thanks, Brett.
Alrighty, folks, that was our runner-up finisher. Now we'll head down to victory lane in the playoffs for the first time. And speaking about first times, it is his first time this season down there. It is the six machine of Chris Hammett. Chris, do you got a copy of Spread the Jet in the booth here?
I got you, Brett.
How are we feeling, Chris? First win of the season comes race number one of the playoffs, all weight off the shoulders.
Yeah, picked a pretty good time to do it, huh? Yeah, really nice, obviously, to lock into the next round. With these only being 2 race rounds and everybody getting reset to the same point total, the cut line is always really, really close. So to be able to go into Gateway next week, I think that's where we're going. Go to Gateway next week with no pressure and just be able to drive loose and maybe play some strategy if the opportunity comes, knowing that the result really doesn't matter. Is definitely a relaxing thought. Give a little break before we head into the round of 8. So yeah, it was a really good night. I can't believe the speed we had. I knew we had decent speed. It was awesome to get the pole. That helped. But man, to lead the amount of laps we did and outrun the guys that we outran tonight, we just straight up beat them tonight. So I definitely feel really good right now.
Yeah, that you did, Chris. Like you said, finding the speed for that pole lap, and then not only that, having the race pace the 6 had. I mean, I don't know if you can give away too much of the secret sauce you found here tonight, but what was a little of it?
I mean, saving tires was such a huge thing here. If you had to keep the right front on it, or you were going to be in for a long night, you had to keep it out of the wall as much as you could. Having to run that very top lane is not my favorite thing in the world to do because, you're gonna get in the wall at some point in time. It's just a matter of minimizing those mistakes and trying not to hurt the car. So I think we only caught it a couple times tonight for just brushed it. So it's again saving tire, especially when on these 1.5 mile races where we typically go green most of the way, if not all the way. You got to keep the tires on it. We did that tonight good enough. James Skelton was maybe a little better on the longer run, but we had the advantage of being in the lead and making him chase us. So just kind of managing that gap there. To where we always had a little something extra if we needed it. Thankfully, we didn't need it there. It got close there when he short pitted me. I didn't know it was going to be. That was a hell of a battle there. Said it was awesome win. I love Max and James. They're the great racers, but I really love to beat them when I get the chance. So feeling really good.
Yeah, that you did tonight, Chris. Not only beat him, but put a whooping on him. As I tell you what, this thing was hooked up from the drop of the green flag. I mean, like you mentioned there, James undercutting you there that last stint. I mean, what was going through your mind by the time you rolled off of pit road? And then later in that run, of course, what lap was it where you're like, man, a yellow's got to be coming out. This can't go this easy.
Oh, I was always thinking about that yellow, man. That always seems to happen to me. I was waiting on the yellow, but yeah, I knew it was going to be close with the lead I had. I was having the number 1 pit stall was nice because I could just kind of pull it straight off pit road and just kind of go. So knew I'd be a little bit better than him getting off pit road. I was a little better than him when we stopped the same lap, the run before. So I knew it was going to be close, and I saw him coming. I knew he was probably going to get me into 3, but I was going to make him go to the bottom to do it. And we got him back there in turn 1, and I knew he was going to have a run, and he tried to throw a slider, and I was committed. Either either he was going to give me the lane and we were going to pass him back, or I was going to wreck us both down the front stretch. I wasn't going to let him get away with throwing a slider like that. So, but he gave us just enough room. We got the lead back, and I knew he had to having that one, even just that one lap tire advantage, and having the lead was going to be enough there. I just needed to, just kind of match his times, and I knew he'd fall off a little faster, and he did. So just manage that gap, keep it as far away from the wall as I possibly could. To lead the amount of laps we did. I mean, if it wasn't for the pit cycles, we would have led them all. So we qualified on the pole, led damn near every lap, and we won the race. So can't do much better than that.
No, you cannot, Chris. As like we all said, you put a whooping on this field here tonight, and definitely a deserving win for the six. First race of the playoffs in the books. You pick up a win. Now thinking round of 8 and maybe even round of 4 now.
Yeah, the round of 8 is definitely gonna be a tough round. We got the next gen car at Richmond. That's gonna be a handful, and then we go to the complete opposite. We go to the Gen 4 car at Vegas. So we definitely got a variety there. Round of 4 is gonna be tough, or round of 8 is gonna be tough. The amount of drivers we have, you can't afford a mistake at all. You can't afford to qualify bad. You definitely can't afford a pit road penalty. You got to run perfect races and get the best finish you can. So, as always, it's going to be tight. The cut line's always tight. But it's been a couple seasons since we've been in the championship 4. I really want to get back there. I love running for championships. We got one on our belt. I want another one. So, the one-time burger bar is coming for another one. We're gonna see if we can get there, and then we'll give it all we got. But we can have more nights like we had tonight. We'll definitely be a threat.
Yeah, that you will, Chris. So get to look forward to a little bit further than the competition. But here tonight, picking up your first win of the season, gotta feel great. Of course, with that though, I think you gotta thank some people down here in Victory Lane in the playoffs. So Chris, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank, either maybe tuning on in at home or on this car.
First and foremost, got to thank my awesome fiance, Ashley, who is watching this interview to make sure that I thank her first. I love you, baby. The guys at 4X Racing, Zach, Sean, and Ryan, can't thank them enough. We work really well together. Now, one goal for next week is to getting Zach and Sean into the next round. So that's something I can turn my little focus on to try to help those guys out as much as I can. Obviously, shout out to Josh, James, and Richard for running this thing. They do such a fantastic job. Thanks to you, Brett, and everybody at Turn 3 for broadcasting these. Definitely one I'll enjoy watching back tomorrow. I love knowing how the story ends. So, it's really awesome to come out here and run on Monday nights. They do such a great job. Looking forward to finishing this season out strong and see if we can pick up at least one more here for the season's over.
Yeah, that is definitely some good goals here in the season. As if it gets to round 8, have the same start, pick up a win there, then you're thinking about a shot at a championship. So Chris, have yourself a great rest of the night. Go party down in Victory Lane, and we'll be sure to join the after party once we wrap up here in the booth.
Thanks, Brett. Have a good one, man.
Yep, we'll catch you next week at Gateway. Have a good one. Alrighty, folks, that was Chris Hammett down in Victory Lane. And let's start wrapping up this Claws Up Charters post-race show. Here tonight, finishing orders look like the following. Chris Hammett picking up the win. James Skelton in second. Max Theriot rounding out the top 3. Those are the cars we talked to. Tim Combs coming into tonight was 12th in points with a 4th place finish. He's sitting in a good spot. Ethan Troutman, a man of consistency in the regular season, continues a streak of top 5s. He will finish 5th. 6th going to the 4, Jeffrey Souza. 7th is Zach Mitchell in the 8th. 8th will go to Sean Single in the 11. 9th is the 01 of Richard Murdoch. Rounding out the top 10 is Michael Trevarthen in the 2. 11th going to the 3 of Tony Strano. 12th is Josh Buckley in the 13th. 13th is Ken Allen in the 81. 14th is Brandon Feeney in the 38. 15th going to Rob Higgins in the 40, with Bob Higgins in the 30 finishing 16th. 17th is Ryan O'Danny, and then rounding out the field here tonight is Dalton Williamson in the 61. So that will do it here. As man, oh man, round number 1 in the books. And you won't want to miss next week, as it's probably the most important race, as Gateway can have some close quarters racing. If someone gets caught up in a mess, it could change these playoffs a lot, because these races are only 2 rounds. So I would have to say, of all the races this season, next week is the can't miss race of season number 17. So, of course, if you tuned in this far, thank you for tuning on in here. It has been awesome, and you have been awesome. Thanks again for the chats in that YouTube chat land. And, of course, while we're thanking people, got to thank Red Light Racing and the sponsors that make it happen. That is Checkered Flag Auto Supplies, Celeratus Legal, the Feeney Clause, and Clause Up Charter. Sorry, that was the Feeney Call and the Clause Up Charter. Of course, we got to thank all these drivers to put on a show, and now these playoff drivers, as it's going to be awesome to watch. Here at Turn 3, we have broadcasts most days of the week here, with a lot of different broadcasters covering a lot of great series. So if you're feeling anything, be sure to tune in to Turn 3 for some of the best sim racing action. Also, Turn 3 has partnered up with that logo in the bottom right of your screen. That is Premier Setup Shops. Be sure to check out a link in the description. That will take you on over to Premier if you want to support Turn 3 and the people that we work with. So thanks again for everyone tuning on in or in a replay here. We now head to, I'm calling the most important race of the season, Gateway with the Trucks, the end of round 12. You won't want to miss it. I've been Brett the Jet in the booth, and I just flew by you. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next week.